用声音
碰撞世界，
生动活泼。
那在第一个 panel 里面，我们聊了 AI 显著地降低了内容创作者们的门槛，让更多人有机会成为创作者，从而生产出更多有趣的内容。那所以我们第二个 panel 的主题就叫做 AI 与内容消费。那目的就是想要与嘉宾们一起探讨 AI 如何改变了我们生产和摄取内容的方式，以及我们要如何应对这个信息爆炸的时代。那这个 panel 的主持人是荣慧，他在一家美元基金负责市场方面的工作，他也是一档以 AI 为主题的播客十字路口的主播。那我们的嘉宾也是来自于不同领域，像是 Yolanda， 他目前在香港大学任教，那之前有很多年的新闻媒体的从业经验，那因此对 AI 和新闻行业的影响有很深的洞察。那另一位嘉宾是林毅，他是在 B 站拥有100万粉丝的 UP 主，也曾经做客我们的科技早知道，在 WWDC 然后 Apple Intelligence 那期里面做过我们的科早嘉宾。那另外一位在产业界的嘉宾，我们请来了美图的 CFO Gary， 他来聊一聊他从消费者那端观察到的 AI 应用与需求。那我还是先来跟大家分享一下我在现场感受最深的一些议题和他们的发言吧。那开场呢，每个嘉宾都提到了他们现在的不同的领域，以前不能做，但是 AI 让他们这些成为可能的一些案例。那比如 Yolanda 提到了路透社的一个叫做 News Tracer 的一个工具，那这个工具可以实时的从社交媒体上抓取和识别突发新闻，显著提高了新闻的收集和报道的速度。 AI 也可以高效的整理海量的政府文件，并让它们变得更加简单易读。那 Gary 也提到了美图秀秀利用了 AI 也开发了最近一些很受欢迎的图片处理的功能。那作为 B 站的 UP 主林毅，他观察到的 AI 的广泛应用使得视频的创作变得更加民主化了。那也就是说现在每个人都可以借助 AI 来创作自己的作品，表达自己的观点。那从内容生产角度的方面来看其实是一件非常好的事情。那从消费这一端来看的话，就有了更多的内容，那这样也带来了一些挑战。我们如何甄别和挑选高质量的内容，就成了很大的一个问题了。好了，那以上就是我对这个 panel 的一些感受和观察。那更多有意思的故事和细节就会在我们的节目中呈现了。那在节目正式开始之前，我还是要感谢一下我们的合作伙伴。那这一次的联合发起方 Zebra Lab、Ultra Hong Kong， 然后还有我们的支持单位香港投资推广署，然后包括我们的赞助方图拉斯以及鹰牌花旗参。好了，那下面就是我们今天的节目。
So they will introduce themselves respectively, but if you look into their background, this panel is kind of like an industry chain. Content creator, productivity tool provider, observer researcher, and policy researcher. Yeah, if you count me as a content creator as well. Okay, so I will ask my panelists to introduce themselves respectively, and also can you introduce yourself and tell us about the most noteworthy changes AI has brought to your industry and your job in the past 10 years, especially in the past year. We'll start with Yolanda.
Hi everyone, this is Yolanda Ma. I'm teaching at the Journalism School in University of Hong Kong. And so Webster University has been really leading, but we're not that bad either. I used to be a journalism practitioner. I worked in Reuters and S&P here in Hong Kong. I recently just joined HKU, but I had a very long detour in the past decade. I worked for United Nations on digital policy. That's why I was introduced as a policy researcher as well. So in terms of the changes in the industry, so I'll be focusing more on the news or journalism industry for the past decade. I would say the industry has been playing a very catching up mode. And I think the last year, well, let me put it that way. 10 years ago, I was still at Reuters, the news agency. And at that time, we just started looking into AI. And we had a very small R&D team somewhere in the North America. But then at that time, that's like really cool and mysterious, something that only a very few people were looking into, right? And now, I think the journalism industry has been pushed into, okay, we have to do something now. Now that everyone become a content creator, everyone become an information provider, now what do we do? The old power dynamics of publishers on the information providing service is breaking down. So I think the industry is really struggling with that. Let me stop it here and pass on to the next speaker.
Thank you, Yolanda. My name is Gary, and I am the Chief Financial Officer at Meitu. Meitu is obviously a mobile app company. Now we have about 216 million monthly active users globally. 1/3 of each is actually outside of mainland China. We started pretty much as an app company that tried to become a very simplified version of Photoshop, focusing on helping user to create, edit their face, making it look more fairer and remove blemishes and all that. We first started as a PC application, and then in 2011, we become a mobile company. And in 2013, we actually started our own AI lab called MT Lab. And at that point in time, I think computer vision is the most important AI technology that we have. And we used to sort of track the points on the face so that you can edit the face very easily with just one click. I think fast forward to the past 1 to 2 years, I think generative AI has really broadened our company scope into helping creators to do a lot of different applications. For example, right now we have an app called XDesign, which is pretty much like Canva, but it's focusing on the e-commerce side. So users can very easily create a background for a e-commerce photo. And then we also have another app called KaiPai, which is helping podcasters or video makers to easily edit their scripts, and then the video will actually stitch together. You can also add some effect to make it look very much like these reality show effects, highlighting the points that you want to say, so on and so forth. So I think generative AI has really broadened our business scope into helping the creator economy. A little bit of myself, I feel very compelled to talk about something related to music because of the other panelists. So in 2020 to pretty much 23, I didn't train a lot of AI, but I trained myself playing classical piano. And it was actually a very painful process, but ended up I am able to finish the LTCL program. So I was actually quite happy. And I really echo with a lot of the previous panelists' view that learning instrument is still very important, and there's some human elements that really cannot be replaced by AI at the moment, but in the future, who knows, right? So let me just pass on to Mr. Lam.
Hi guys, my name is Yi, and I'm a content creator. So we are running a Bilibili channel and a YouTube channel. My co-founder is on the third row here, and yeah, you can wave to, yeah. And our Bilibili channel has 1 million subscribers, but it's in mainland China, so that's basically the population of just one street, so it's no big deal. So our YouTube channel has 200,000 subscribers, and our content is basically focused on our software projects. It's just present the process of developing it, and so we tell our development story through our videos. And we also, as our channel grows, we have more opportunities to maybe talk with industry leaders and listen to their opinions, maybe make some interviews. So we are also doing some of the jobs of journalists. So that's basically what we are doing. And so as for the questions, so 10 years might be too much for me. So because 10 years ago, I'm still an undergraduate. So if we talk about the influence of AI on in the scope of 10 years on me, it's it shapes my decision of my major selection, because I was still studying at that time. And that's when the AlphaGo was so popular, and I decided to choose machine learning as my major in my graduate study. And like for the past year, I think what I'm observing is that the content creating process is more and more is getting civilized. It's getting like more and more like common people are using this tool to present their ideas. Like previously, if we want to make some films, we want to make some cool scenes, it requires like a huge budgets. But now like everybody could have their innovation ideas and present it through AI tools. It might not be like that's high quality, but it's like a change from 0 to 1. It's like they begin to have this tool to express themselves. So we are what I see is that a lot of interesting contents are pouring into the community. Like it might be more challenging for us to select, but it also gives more creative ideas the chance to pop out. So yeah, that's what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I have a personal story to share that I think the biggest change the AI has made to me in my life was starting my podcast 6 months ago, because I told my colleagues about this joke too. I started a podcast to study AI because I'm afraid of losing my job as a marketing person. Yeah, so I was a reporter too, so I can echo a lot about what Yolanda said. And I'm now a podcast producer and like as a content creator as well. So yeah, what Lingyi said, I have a lot of feelings too. So the next part, we'll talk about to what extent has AI penetrated the production side of information. I think, all of us have a lot of things to say. So the first question is, please share 1 to 2 stories, the innovations that AI has made our lives possible that was previously impossible. And also, what previously unseen needs have been fulfilled. Yeah, Yolanda first.
Okay, yeah, I can start. I just kind of said the media industry has been playing catch-up game, but just to give credit to some of the pioneers in the industry, right? So there had been some, I wouldn't say revolutionary innovations, but there has been some good attempts. I'll give 2 examples. One is more on the news gathering side. And so Reuters had a product, I think in 2017 or 2018, which is called News Tracer. And it's basically doing something that a normal human being, a reporter, will not be able to do. Basically scrapes 700 million daily tweets from back then it's still at Twitter. And basically it's identifying what are the breaking news. And then, so in the news business, the old business model is that the faster, the better, right? So basically use AI, it's able to actually scrape all that data and identify the breaking news and give the leads to the reporters for them to identify things happening like a wildfire kind of happening, or things that if it's just a reporter staying in the newsroom may not be able to identify very quickly. So it gives Reuters, for an agency that win the competition by time, like something around 5 minutes to 20 minutes lead time compared to its competitors. So that's not necessarily felt by the audience, right? Because for you, ultimately you get the news. You may not really care if it's a 5 minutes difference or a 20-minute difference, but it does matter for the business. And the other example I want to give is for the more production side. And again, that may not be something that the readers actually understand how much has been going on in the back end. It's actually happening a lot in terms of how AI is used to process thousands, if not millions, of documents for some news organizations. So there was one US-based organization. It's a kind of a smaller one, but mostly working on investigative journalism. And they were able to actually use generative AI to summarize the policy documents from all the states across the United States and make them more easily readable by the readers. So that's another attempt. Basically, that's something if you use a reporter or editor to do, that takes a lot of human time and energy. So one quote, I don't remember which editor was that, but one of the biggest news agency in the US, he said, use AI as like one of your best interns or like hundreds of interns, right? They're doing a lot of work for you, but you need to train them properly. So I think these are the two examples. One is on the news gathering side and the other is on the production side, which from the receiving end, you may not really feel that difference. But that's happening for some of the newsrooms. And I'll touch on the distribution side maybe later, but I think that's actually one of the changes that's happening most. So Lin Yi said, now all the normal people can start creating content. So the old business model of journalism is breaking down, right? We're not only competing with like Reuters competing in Bloomberg, but we're competing with all the thousands, millions, billions of people out there. So then how do normal people like you and me actually receive the information, access the information? How does the information flow works these days? That's actually more a question for everyone to figure out.
Gary.
Okay, so the next few minutes is going to sound a little bit like an advertisement because what we do is photo and video editing, and obviously AI has a lot of things that changes the way how we edit photos. So the first thing, for example, is if there's like a random person you want to remove from the photo, you can use AI to just highlight that, and then that person will be gone, and then the background will be generated as if the photo is original. And so there are other niche sort of functionalities that most people wouldn't use it, but if you really need it, it would be awesome. For example, like my teeth, let's say it's not very how do you say in English? It's not very aligned, and initially there's no way for you to fix it unless you wear braces, right? But now our app can actually recreate your teeth and then make it looks very nice. Hairline, you can't really do much about it unless you go to see a surgeon. But again, our app can do it. And for video as well, we would have thought that initially, video could be more, representative of how you look like, but now we can add a lot of cosmetics. You can change how you look, and then you just need to edit one photo, and then the effect will apply to the entire video. And no matter how you move, that edit won't go away. It will just stick to your face, and then you look perfect for the entire video. So a lot of these things were made possible by AI, but I want to emphasize it's not just generative AI. Traditional AI is also very important. If you look at our percentage of users that uses one or more of the AI functionalities, it's over 87%. So our app, even though people don't really see it as an AI app, but a lot of users are actually using AI functionalities.
Yeah, just like Yolanda said, we are having this opportunity of having like more quick processing of of contents, and I hate my interns, but AI could be like a response more quickly, but I hate AI too because it's so hard to talk with them. I love the technology, but I hate the way to talk to them. And but it's a new opportunity. We have this power of having so much tools to have at our use, and we can have quick response from them. And like Gary said, we are having this new technology like image processing and video processing. And my point is from what I said is we are seeing more and more people are having the capability to present their idea to the world with this new AI tool. And but from my perspective, from what I was saying is from the content creation perspective, but I'm also a software engineer. So from software developing perspective, I'm also experiencing this new paradigm shift. It's previously I was focused on computer vision. And when we were developing some new apps or maybe functions, we were thinking like, where should we get the training data? Like if like that's actually like a real case. Like it just happened like 2 months ago. Like I was thinking having this develop this app to maybe give you a score like on how you look today. But like we were talking like from old perspective, I was thinking, where should we get the training data? Like where should we get those daily look photos and get the scores? But all of a sudden we were thinking, oh no, we can just directly use maybe GPT-4o, because like we are having this like common technology base so that we could use it to do what we want. Previously it's not possible, but like now we are having this common technology base that we can use, like we have at our disposal.
Yeah, I think with the help of AI, the things that previously impossible, there are some demand and supply relationship would be changed. So, for example, take me as an example. I used to work with 1 or 2 designer freelancers out of our organization, and right now I don't need to work with them because with the help of Canva and Midjourney, I can do that myself. So it's a pity that some people will lose their job, but I think this will change. I think the AI has brought some change for the demand and supply. So the next question will be, are there any changes will you guys seeing in the production relationship and content creation?
Maybe I will start first. It's interesting when you mentioned that you used to talk to 2 designers and you now don't need to talk to them. Maybe they're actually getting 10 more clients because of AI.
Yes.
So this is how we see it, because I think AI tools, especially productivity tools, actually enable user to do things in a much faster way. So as any technology advancement, right? There will be some jobs that it's being made redundant, but at the same time you release a lot of productivity. And that actually, as a whole of the labor force, to actually increase the productivity. I think, especially in our industry, we're seeing that very, very prominently, because on one hand, we serve over 4 million e-commerce sellers using our app to create content, create posters, create collaterals to sell their stuff. But on the other hand, we actually have Zcool, which is effectively the hands in China, and on Zcool there's over 17 million designers and artists on it, and their activity is also booming. So we're actually not seeing anybody suffered as a whole. So I think as a productivity app company or AI application company, our goal is to really just try to create better tools so users can be more efficient. And at the end, I think the beneficiary will be consumers, because you'll be able to get more details about the things that you want to buy. You get better advertising collaterals that at one point might be personalized to you. So I think there will be productivity growth along the way.
Yeah, maybe I can add to that. From the more news or information perspective, I would say there are 2 kind of phenomena happening. One is like, if any of you, all of you, think about how you access information, of how you access news these days, right? It's very fragmented. Like, we all get our information from different apps, different social media platforms, from your friends on the IMs, So it's no longer like 10 years ago or 20 years ago where, okay, I need this piece of news, I go to New York Times. I need this piece of news, I go to whatever media I've been following, right? That model has been falling apart. So that actually combined with what we were talking about, so Lingyi, you used the word of civilized. I would say that's democratized of the content production side of things. So then now, like, that comes with the information overload for all of us, right? I'm sure there must be a moment for all of us in the past week where you were just like overwhelmed by the information. Like you don't necessarily know where to get that one piece of information that you really need. So all these phenomena adding up, that is actually giving, well, there are two challenges here. One is the challenge for individual users. How do we actually develop our own system to actually get to the information source or get to the piece of information that we actually need, right? And the other challenge for the traditional kind of publishers or news providers is that how do I meet this new demand from the audience? And I think there's a bit of a dynamics happening. And one example is that now that with generative AI, video content become more popular than before, right, compared to 2 years ago. So actually, there has been a recent study saying because news content assisted by generative AI has been becoming so popular, the old-fashioned media companies and publishers are starting to produce more videos to meet this new demand. So I think there will be kind of more mutually dynamic information ecosystem reshuffle happening in the next couple of years. And we don't necessarily know where that's going, but changes are definitely happening.
Yeah, I think the formal analysis is great. Like what I can say is just like my observation is like there are more and more contents pouring out, and definitely there will be bad contents, not only the good qualities. So that might be a problem. But what I'm trying to deal with this scenario is maybe just I'm a lazy guy, so I'll just like let it go, and I will pick the popular videos. And I believe the selection of like the audience, right? The audience will pick the good ones for me, but yeah, our algorithm and the audience, because like you feed the audience like meat to the algorithm, right? Yeah, so like basically that's still the choice of the audience.
So we talked about the innovation. Now it comes to the problem. And we're going to talk about what kind of new problems that AI created for us. I think news industry has been disrupted in the most significant way by the technology in the past 10 to 20 years, especially given the development of AI-generated content. And there are some news about some new media outlets that's using AI to generate their news and funded by users and readers. So I guess Yolanda have a lot of observations about this. So Yolanda, can you give us some examples that you saw the new problems that's created by AI?
Yeah, definitely. So I think ultimately the news industry is a fact-based industry, right? We need to find the truth. We need to develop the truth picture based on facts. While AI is not necessarily fact-based. If we know AI just enough, we know that that's actually based on statistics, right? So then it's generating the most probable whatever next word, next picture, that based on the data it has, which the data itself is biased in many cases. So then in that sense, that's actually I mean, creators like the first panel, like that's great. I wish we can embrace AI like they do, but we cannot. There are lots of journalism principles we have to stick to, which to some extent is not something that AI is able to do at the moment, right? So one problem or challenges that's actually come with this kind of a conflict is the overload of misinformation online. And then this year is a big election year. There is about, I think, I might get the number wrong, but
40 different countries.
Yeah, 40 different countries coming up with elections this year. So billions of people are going through elections, but they're also facing the challenges of, misinformation around elections and regarding campaigns, regarding different candidates. I think there was a example of that's a real example of a state in, I think it's a wavering state in the US starting getting calls from Joe Biden, and it's an audio call. So basically now it's so easy to make up like a 10-minute audio based on like 10 seconds of someone's voice, right? Like we have a AI class, AI course in our school, and the students can produce that in within one class. Like we can teach them how to basically producing misinformation. But knowing that, they actually got a call from Joe Biden and telling them to either vote for him or not to vote for Trump, which end up it's an AI generated audio message and not really from Biden, of course. So this is coming not just a challenge for journalism industry, but also for broader society. So that comes different challenges and different solutions we need to think of. What about the media or information literacy of the audience? Like I think all of us are pretty well educated. We probably know like how to identify the source. But what about, people who are less educated, who may not have the privilege to actually identify, or think about people like our parents? Like my mom sent me misinformation all the time. So how to actually do that kind of literacy training, that's something that needs more ecosystem approach to address that.
Have this problem sparked any discussion in the industry? Solutions?
Yeah, I think as mentioned in my remarks earlier, it's not just something that journalism industry can address. Actually, the reporters also, I think there are two gaps there. One is reporting or enough discussion about AI accountability. So you need to understand the problem enough to actually cover that and to actually tell the audience about it, right? So that's one discussion and practice started happening. And the other, maybe touching a little bit on my UN part of work, actually, that's one of the big projects we've been working on, how to address election-related misinformation and how to have that ecosystem approach. Basically, we developed a product where we can actually use AI to do the fact-checking process. It's assisting. It's not just like only using AI to do the fact-checking, but you can use AI to help you do some parts of the fact-checking and to identify what are the more likely misinformation, and then you have the humans following up. And then by that, we worked in developing countries and have the local media organizations who have the local networks and the local languages to actually do the further step of human kind of vetting and human fact-checking. So then you have the ecosystem of media organizations, AI/technology, and government stepping in, and then the general public. So then they, at the end, hopefully they can address the problem we are facing altogether.
Any input?
Maybe we can have there is this saying of using magic to beat magic. So the problem is caused by artificial intelligence. Then maybe we can use artificial intelligence to help solve this problem, right? Like we can have this AI agent. We were actually thinking about this. We can have this AI agent to help classify misinformation and facts, and like we can. Since it's based on AI, so it can be really cheap and everybody could have it.
I can remember Mark Zuckerberg said what exactly you said before. Gary, do you have any input about this?
Well, I mean, personally, I think this is actually not a new problem. I mean, depending on your perspective, right? Fox News versus CNN. I mean, one of each is, depending on your stance, is misinformation. So I think as I echo Yolanda's point is, well, education plays a very big part of it. And to a certain extent, it's easier to discern what is AI generated versus, human touch, sort of misinformation wrapped in, the principle under journalism at this point. But obviously, in the future, maybe it's more difficult. But I think things like this will happen anyway. I mean, look back 200 years ago, there's only maybe one newspaper. Then newspaper means it's the authority. Now you have Fox versus CNN. So it evolves over time, but I don't think this is not solvable. I mean, it's a good chance for human as a whole to raise your critical thinking capability and try to discern, and with the help of magic to fight magic. I think this is also a way to deal with it. So I'm actually still pretty optimistic about it.
Yeah, I think it's not a war between human and artificial intelligence. It's always a war between human and human, like human with tools and to fight against each other.
Yeah, this is a challenge I think newsroom always facing. I remember like 10 or 15 years ago when the first time I saw the H5, New York Times created, my instinct was this is a big challenge for newsrooms because for newsrooms, they need more and more engineers to help them to create those technological works to attract more users. But the question is, why do top engineers go to work at New York Times instead of Facebook or Google? So Gary, have you been reached out by any content creators or media groups to work with?
Not. I mean, in what capacity?
I mean, maybe just interested in talking with you guys to see the potential of working with Mei Tu Xiu.
I mean, we take regular interviews and all that, but in terms of using our tools to help the media agencies, I think they not particularly because right now how we organize our portfolio, we have a very industry specific strategy. So the first couple of apps is mostly focusing on the e-commerce industry. Obviously, as a media agency, you can still use our app to create some of the banners or advertisements, so on and so forth. But it's not geared towards that. So it's like you can use Photoshop to edit your face too, but you're better off using Meitu Xiuxiu. Is that kind of analogy? It's easier that way. Yeah.
So speaking of content creation, so Lin Yi is like what he said. He was studying machine learning when he was in his graduate school, and now he's talking about AI. His video on Bilibili is talking about AI. So can you give us an example of how of the recent work you created with AI or with the help of AI?
Like my fight with AI interns, right? like my contents, my recent contents are all somewhat related to AI tools. Like we are using it to generate illustrations, and we use those illustrations in our videos. And I definitely use ChatGPT or Cloud to help with my process of writing my articles. And yeah, that's basically my use case. And in this process, I was like, I really struggle with like talking with AI agents. Their response is quick. Their attitude is good, but their capability is bad. What I think is currently the AI agents, they like all those large language models, they have this problem of use steps. It's not an original opinion from me. It's actually from the CEO of Minimax. I borrowed his idea. Like he said, like the current response of large language models are more like instinctive. It's like what you come to your mind like in 1 second, and it's not a deeply thought answer. And so that causes a very shallow use case. You can use AI agents, you can use large language models to do some simple tasks, but you cannot do complicated tasks. Like if I prepare for this session here, I have to go through many steps. I need to like look for some questions. I need to do some preparations. I need to like see all those documents and generate some of my own ideas. But like for large language models, that's just too much. And so basically they are still doing some of the additive work. Is like the supplemental work is not fundamental work. The fundamental work is still through humans.
You guys have any comments about this?
Yeah, I'm kind of, as Lin was saying, I was really thinking about, okay, how do I turn that into how I really educate my students, right? Some of them are worrying about their jobs. They're still studying, so they need to start work looking for jobs in the next few months. Some of them are already worrying about the jobs being gone. And but I think what Lin is kind of describing is that, if you are like you, as a human being, you just need to get smarter and even more systematic and strategic in your thinking for you to actually be able to work with AI and have AI support you in the ways that's actually helpful, right? But to do that, you actually need to really break down your tasks or your thinking process in a very systematic way. And only through that, then, and I think that's for individual level, but I think also for our industry level, right? You need to break it down so that you know which part of the workflow can AI actually step in and support. So I think that's something all of us need to do more thinking about.
Okay, the time is limited, so I will come to the last part of this discussion and also welcome questions from the audience. We are all consumers and users of information too, so I wonder how we take control of what we read and what we consume the information every day. So do you have any advice or, for example, like where do you primarily get your information? And is there anything you do deliberately to take control of the things you read and to tell which part AI has played in that piece of news?
So if I want to do some like formal study, I still go with like formal journals and reports and papers. I'm working as a content creator, so I need to know what the community is talking about. So sometimes I have to dive into that pool of garbage and find some like what's our audience talking about. So I talked about that like previously. What I did is just like I just lay back and see what the community or the algorithm what they just feed me and take a look and get what people are talking about. And my suggestion would be like as well as what I'm doing is actually I will have some time, maybe like 1 day or 2 a week to just stay away from like all of the contents.
In general, I still stick to traditional news and all that, but to actually learn something very deep, I still prefer to look at papers or talk to the expert. But I think what AI comes in very handy is that before you talk to an expert or like a CEO of another company or professor, you talk to GPT for a few moments first, and it can actually get you up to speed on some of the relevant information, give you a little bit of concept so that you don't waste a lot of time when you are talking to the expert. And granted, these large language models will have some errors in it, but that's where the expert comes in. He will say, okay, maybe this is what you get from GPT, but then this is not actually what is correct. So I think it can help. Again, I think as human being, we have to find ways to let AI to increase your efficiency, but you're not trying to rely on AI to sort of replace human expertise. I think we're still not quite there yet. Don't know what's going to happen in 10 years' time, or maybe less.
Well, I'm glad to hear the old-fashioned journalism still have some business here. As for myself, I get most of my information from social media, but I think I do have the privilege of most of my social media networks are from like traditional journalists and media professionals. So I kind of know that's reliable information instead of garbage. And one of my personal wish is actually I can build an AI agent to manage my information intake. I don't know how to do that. If any of you have ideas or where to start, I'm happy to get some inputs.
那节目的最后也和大家分享一则我们的生动胡同会员的一个消息。那9月份正值开学季，我们希望能够让我们的学生朋友们更加便宜的成为我们的会员，所以从去年开始啊，我们就增加了一个看起来不怎么合理，但是大家都很爱的一个教育折扣。正常加入我们胡同会员其实是365元1年，那如果使用我们的教育折扣其实是120元，其实是将近3折的这样一个优惠力度啊。成为我们的会员可以解锁我们旗下所有的付费节 目，包括不止金钱呀，还有跳进兔子洞，同时还可以收到我们每周1封的邮件通讯，就是 newsletter， 里面记录了我们制作内容的幕后故事啦，然后以及我们当下的所思所想。点开我们的 show note， 也就是节目详情中的文章链接，可以看到我们为什么设计这样的一个特别有力度的一个折扣给我们的学生小伙伴们，然后也会有我们生动活泼的小伙伴们对自己18岁说的一句话。欢迎各位来订阅，也欢迎大家把这样的一个特别有力度的折扣分享给身边正在上学的小伙伴们。